The city of Edmonton has voted to change the name of the city's municipal wards to Indigenous names, thanks to the expensive advice of an all-female panel of activists, and you are not going to believe the social justice name they are giving to Ward 3. Political correctness and left-wing virtue signaling and not fiscal restraint in the face of an unprecedented recession seems to be the main priority down at Edmonton City Hall. Alberta's capital city is a bit of an anomaly in the largely conservative province, home to an NDP stronghold federally and provincially in Old Strathcona, and the council over recent years has found new and exciting ways to blow taxpayer money on recycling fiascos, expensive bike lanes in a winter city, and paying residents to put solar panels on their houses in Edmonton. While at the same time, they're cutting the funding to cops at the behest of a small but extremely loud group of radicals. But that's what you get with a city home to the seat of government and all the government workers who come with it. You get more left-wing politics, you get more government, and you get a bunch of people who like it. And even though many Edmontonians right now are laid off because of government COVID-induced restrictions and a federal government firmly against oil and gas, you see Alberta's unemployment rate right now is nearly 12%, this municipal government refuses to lay off their expensive virtue signaling even as they prepare for a 2021 municipal election. Just look at this. While deliberating on Edmonton's new ward map Tuesday, City Council passed a motion asking the naming committee to work with the Indigenous community to come up with 12 Indigenous names for the city's wards. Terry Sunjins is the Director of Indigenous Initiatives with MacEwan University. She was among the list of speakers advocating for the Indigenous ward names at Tuesday's council meeting. I've been in the city of Edmonton for about 3 years now, Sunjins told CTV News Edmonton. I previously worked within First Nations communities, and one of the things that I had hesitation about moving to Edmonton was having a connection to our Indigenous culture and language. Now, let me be clear here. I'm not against renaming the wards, and I'm not against giving them Indigenous names. Actually, I sort of kind of like it as long as it's relevant and reflective of Edmonton's robust history, geography, and culture. My problem is that it's a ridiculous priority at this moment of time, completely unnecessary. The City Council started the process of renaming back in June, when the unemployment rate here in Alberta was somewhere near 16%. Of course, this was a feminist process because this is the NDP stronghold of Edmonton, so no boys allowed. Just look at this. Indigenous cultures traditionally uphold women as leaders in their communities, which is why they were chosen to lead this initiative. This is an opportunity for reconciliation for matriarchs to reclaim their roles within the community. The committee is made up of 17 women from First Nations in Treaty 6, 7, and 8, as well as Métis and Inuit representatives. They represent the Anishinaabe, Blackfoot, Cree, Dene, Inuit, Iroquois, Métis, and Sioux nations. So no Indigenous men had to say here. That's weird, right? Are we discriminating against Indigenous men because that's how that culture is structured? Anyway, all 12 of the Indigenous names proposed to Edmonton City Council were approved after councillors recently voted 9-4. And it seems as though the council has gone out of their way to purposefully confuse residents about what ward they live in now, going out of their way to vote down a motion that would help residents adjust to all these new names. Look at this. Ward 3 councillor John Jiddick put forward an amendment Monday asking that the new names also carry the original numbers in brackets, so Edmontonians aren't confused about which ward is theirs, especially when it comes to election time. Jiddick's amendment was voted down 11-2 by councillors. Now that I have received the recommended names, I note that 10 of the 12 names do not relate to place or geography within the wards, even though that was specified in the bylaw, Jiddick said. And the cost of hiring consultants to do all of this in the middle of a pandemic, when the city and the residents are both completely broke, $150,000 for about 2 months of consulting work. Good work if you can get it, I guess. And here might be the craziest thing. As I already mentioned, the names were supposed to all have a geographical link to the ward, remember? Now, Métis, Dene, Papastu, they're not geographic, not in line with the rules, but the names are at least referring to a people or person. Okay, fine, whatever. And I really like the name for Ward 2. It does reflect culture, a shared history, and a geographic location. Ward 2, the new name, Anurnik, the indigenous language of origin, Inuktun, the meaning, breath of life. It honors the history of the Inuit who received treatment at the Charles Camsell Hospital. Perfect. Sheila's stamp of approval. But look at this. The new name for Ward 3, Tastayin Iok. The indigenous language of origin here is Cree, and the meaning, it's a doozy. The in-between people. It honors those who moved between gender roles and the LGBTQ2S community. Congratulations, Ward 3 residents. You won the social justice lottery, whether you wanted to or not. Don't you now feel better about the $150,000 City Council wasted on this now? What's the moral of the story here? I guess that all politics are local, that conservatives have to get involved in local politics if they are ever going to fix this whole country. Like Jordan Peterson says, if you can't even clean up your own room, who the hell are you to give advice to the world? For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. At Rebel News, it's our job to tell the other side of the story. In this case, that virtue signaling is expensive and can have a ridiculous outcome. Now, if you'd like to help us continue telling the other side of the story, one of those ways doesn't actually cost you a thing. Just like and share this story. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel and ring the little bell so you never miss a video. And if you'd like to support us further, do consider becoming a subscriber to Rebel News Plus. That's what we call our long-form premium style shows here on Rebel News. Just go to rebelnews.com/subscribe to join today.